No! Don't go back to him! He's so bad for you.
Oh my lord! What is wrong with you, Mayor Aaron?
Oh, hey Diva Marie. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bummed out. See, I really wanted my Sensational Sherry video to do well, especially because I put so much effort into it and tried to put a lot of facts and info to teach the world about some amazing things that this amazing woman did. But no one really seemed to watch it, or like it for that matter. So, I'm in my feels, you'd say. And to match my feels, I've been watching this Nicholas Sparks love movie marathon because it fits me.
Okay, but don't you have a figure review to do today?
Yeah, I do have Basic Series 129 Carmella to review, but I just feel kind of gross, kind of sad.
Well, you are in no shape to do the review. Looks like I need to Cinderella your booty and give you a makeover.
Alright, I guess I'm game. But, can I finish my Nicholas Sparks movie first? I really want to see who she ends up with.
Nope. Enough of that sappy crap. Now let's get you pretty and start the montage.
Okay. I admit, I'm a little nervous. I'm really excited, though. I just don't know how to unveil myself. Do I do a little sexy dance behind the curtain first? Something like that? Huh?
Oh no, please stop. Just let us see how you look. You know Diva Marie can only polish a turd so much to make it look good. But it is still a turd.
Well, how rude! Wait till you see him. He looks adorbs.
Oh, wow. Real nice, Co-Mayor Alexa. Real nice. Way to support my confidence. But you know what? I'm going to shake that off because you ain't getting this anyway. All right. Y'all ready to see me?
Yikes.
Well, what do you think, huh?
OMG! Yay! You look so pretty! Handsome. You ready to do the review?
Why do you look like a cat?
Huh? Oh, yeah, right. Well, Diva Marie kind of took liberties with the makeup application, but you know what? It's not about how I look, it's about how I feel, and baby girl, I am ready to review Basic 129 Carmella with my confidence back. And Diva Marie, thank you for letting me get it back.
Aw, well you are welcome, Mayor Aaron.
I think I like Mayor Aaron more when no one is watching his videos.
No, you're pretty. No. Oh, okay, yeah, no, you're pretty. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here, and welcome to today's very exciting review of the brand new Basic Series 129 Carmella. Now, anyone that watches the channel knows that she is one of my absolute favorites. I actually just recently put a little shelf together, you can see behind me, with an autographed 8x10 and also all of her figures released so far. So I'll do a history down the road of all her figures. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Carmella. She's in my top 10 favorite wrestlers ever. So I'm really excited to see this brand new iteration with her new gimmick in this new figure. Now, it is also important to note in the Jillies Award show this past year, I actually did select Elite Series 86 as the most sentimental figure to me. This was a huge time as far as wrestling fandom for me, and really when I fell in love with the women's division and really wanted to support the women, she was SmackDown Women's Champ. So that's why this is sentimental for me, but we are here to review the brand new Basic. So without further ado, let's dive in. Alright, so let's start off by taking a closer look at the packaging here. Now, I've mentioned before this new themed packaging. I'm not a huge fan of it as far as the Elites go. I haven't gotten used to it yet. I still think I prefer the white base color packaging that was a more boxy shape. I just think those packages felt a lot more durable, but as far as basics go, I've completely converted. I love this new red and black themed packaging with the blue accent on the side with the series number in the corner. I just think it's a really cool, classy looking packaging for basics and makes them pretty cool to display MOC. And I don't think we really got that before with the basics in my opinion. So yeah, this packaging is stunning. We obviously see a large image of Carmella looking beautiful and stunning as always. We have her name in the corner here. And like I said in the blue, we have the series in the corner. We had a nice open window to see the figure itself. Turning it around, we have that same photo, and we have her classified as a grappler. It's really cool that they have a classification system for the superstars on the back of the packages. And here it has her signature moves. Now, side note, what I thought was pretty cool with the Elite 86, it doesn't have the double jointed elbows. The articulation really wasn't at that point yet in the Elite line. However, I was able to have Carmella put I think it was the Ultimate Charlotte in the Code of Silence, so it is possible. But with the Basic, you probably won't be able to do that because of the lack of limitations as far as articulation goes. But we can see the rest of the series there. And yeah, I'm just excited to open this up and take a closer look, so let's do that. WWE Basic Series 129 Carmella. This attire is from the 2021 Royal Rumble Premium Live event, which took place on January 31st from the Thunderdome. On this night, Sasha Banks would retain her SmackDown Women's Championship by defeating Carmella after Mella tapped out to the bank statement. Alright, so my first impressions of this figure are actually really positive. Now here's the thing, I thought this figure got a lot of undeserved hate online, and I understand it is really disappointing to see the steps they've taken backwards as far as the basics go, especially the women's basics. They've really not put a whole lot of effort into them, but in my opinion, if the paint application's done right, the body sculpt's good, the face scan is good, I think they can work. And just from a distance, this definitely seems like one of those instances where this basic works. Now, I would 1000% love to see it in Elite form, but what we got here in basic form, I'm really curious to take a closer look and look at all the details and see how it pans out. But yeah, I really think it did get a lot of unwarranted hate online when it was unveiled, because just looking at it right now, I actually like it. So now we're going to take a closer look at all the details of this figure, and let's start off with that face and hair. Alright, so the first thing I notice is this is a brand new face scan, a face sculpt, and hair mold for Carmella, and I actually think it looks pretty good. Now, I did get a second one to keep MOC, and the face scan was applied a little bit off, and it looks a little wonky, and like I mentioned before with these women's figures, it's so important that that scan is put on correctly or right where it needs to be, otherwise it looks way off. And here it was put on right, and I think it does look good. I think it really does resemble Carmella. I like the more serious look that she has in this scan and this face sculpt. And little details are here, like if you look at her lips, they're very full. They gave her very full lips in the sculpt, which is very accurate. I think the eyes, the eyebrows are good. I think it really does resemble Carmella. Now, I understand the images online didn't look the best, but having it in hand, as I always say, it does look a lot better. I don't think it's a perfect scan by any means, but I actually do prefer it over the previous scan that we saw in Elite 86 and Basic 106. And I'll put a little side-by-side comparison there so you can see. I mean, I like that happy scan, and I think that's a perfect scan for the figure and for the time. But with this new gimmick, I like that they gave her a more serious look. I think it works really well. Now, the hair sculpt is also really cool. It's a beautiful hair sculpt, really matches her personality and her gimmick. But once again, something that I have noticed the more I've done women's wrestling figure reviews is as far as the hair color goes, it's a mess. It's a mess with the hair color because all they do with the women's figures is give it one solid color. Now, sometimes we get occasions like the Reckoning where there's a little bit of a hint of blue in the hair. But here she should have a different color blonde than just straight up yellow. You know, it looks very cartoony, and I think it's something that us women's wrestling figure collectors kind of got used to over time because that's just how it is. But the Jazzwares women's figures made me realize, as far as the hair paint application goes, there's zero effort put into it, and that's something they need to step up to make the hair look a lot more realistic. It needs to be a little more blonde, maybe have some roots, some streaks, something. I think that would make a huge difference for Carmella here. But yeah, I'm actually a big fan of this face sculpt, face scan, and I do like the hair sculpt despite the color problem. But hopefully we do get this figure in elite form and that's corrected. Now with that being said, let's move on to the body and the attire. Alright, so this to me is where the figure really stands out, and even though there's very little molding going on, there are some details that you really can't notice unless you're looking up close that are pretty neat. Now, to start off, I am going to point out the smoothed over belly button that drives me nuts. It's not a dimpled belly button like it should. That's like the t-shirt torso. So that looks weird. It looks like she doesn't have a belly button or it's smooth over. It's bizarre. That really bothers me. Now, not to be weird, but I'm just going to point it out here. Something I did notice with her upper body sculpt here is there's extra detail in the molding for her chest here. And I think that works really well. It makes it look a lot more realistic and detailed. And I say that because if you go back and look at the Scarlet Chase, one of my biggest complaints was she's wearing this really small top, but it's completely smoothed over with no curves or anything, and it looks like a t-shirt mold painted flesh colored. But here, you actually get that representation of flesh underneath, and that extra molding on the chest really does stand out and give Carmella her signature features there. So I think that's a really cool detail that I didn't know that they included until looking up close. But another detail I noticed with the attire is, that's right, y'all, we have glitter in the paint. We got glitter in the paint, baby. I have wanted this for the longest time, and we've seen it come and go on some of these women's basics, you know, going back to Toni Storm, Chelsea Green, but that's something that is so huge to do for these women's figures, especially the basics that get little attention as far as molding goes. To have this red be a sparkly, glittery type red, that's just perfect. It really is. I'm so glad that they did that. Now, like I mentioned, beyond that molding on the upper chest to make it look a lot more realistic, we do have a little molding between the chest here, which works because she is wearing a top here and it does look pretty realistic there. But that's about all the molding we get in the upper body. The rest of it is just painted on. But like I mentioned before, if the female superstar is really known for wearing tight attire, it can work if the paint application is done well. And it's done pretty good up on top here. It's not perfect, but it is painted very cleanly and nicely. And it really does look good. She even has a little cross pattern on the back there, which is a nice little detail. The arm sleeves are nice with the little black trim. Once again, that shiny metallic red. And the paint goes all the way down into her hand. So that's really nice. Now, moving on to her bottoms here. They are that metallic red once again with black trim. It looks pretty nice. Now, she has these molded on thigh-high boot sleeve type things here. And this might be the first time we've gotten it in a women's basic. Now, it is important to note there's no articulation at that thigh here. There's no thigh swivel, so I believe this is a brand new basic part, so that's exciting because it's always good to see new parts in the women's basic line. And obviously here it works great. There's a lot of folds in there. It really does look realistic, and I really do appreciate the extra detail there. That metallic red color really does shine through all the way down, and then she has her red sneakers on here painted. So yeah. Now, that's another thing with the thigh. It might be a little bit darker than the rest of her flesh, but I pointed this out with the Basic 106 Carmella. It was way darker than the rest of her flesh, but it was supposed to be because she wears stockings or like pantyhose, and they did a great job there, and I can't really tell because of my color blindness if it's a little darker than the rest, but if it is, that's accurate, and if it's not, that's okay too. But I even think the skin tone here is a real tan color and works really well. But yeah, like I mentioned before, this attire works for me in basic form. They did an excellent job here with attention to detail paint application with a minimum amount of cost spent. And I really like that additional sculpt that they gave on the chest to make it look a lot more realistic, show her features off there. And yeah, it doesn't look too cartoony. So I think it looks great. I'm actually blown away with the body sculpt, the attire, the paint application. I think it's great. Alright, so real quick, I wanted to show you what I meant as far as the upgrade in that upper body sculpting on the Carmella that we haven't really got before. So looking at this Scarlet Chase, the Chase version, she's wearing very minimal clothes, right? The top is very small, and there's a lot of flesh exposed. So with that flesh exposed, you think there'd be additional sculpting or something to kind of show her curves and uniqueness in that upper body. But instead, it's just completely smooth over and flat, and it looks silly. And I know as far as Chase versions compared to regular versions, they can't change the sculpting, but that begs the question, why wasn't the sculpting on the regular version a little more flattering as far as her body type? And you compare it to that Carmella, who also has a small top on, you can see the additional sculpting that they put in that upper body that makes it look so much better. So, like I mentioned before, it's such a small detail that really goes a long way with these women's wrestling figures, especially because showing that they put that much attention to detail in it is awesome, and I love to see it. Alright, so I wanted to do a little comparison between Carmella's most recent figures. If you're trying to have one representation of Carmella in your collection, maybe this part of the video will help you. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to show y'all the Fan Central Elite Carmella. I think this figure is in a class of its own. I mean, it is a gorgeous, beautiful, amazing figure with so many cool accessories, but it is a little pricey to get a hold of, and it doesn't pop up much on eBay. So that's why I'm not including this in this comparison, because it is a harder figure to obtain. But if you can get a hold of this one, I definitely would. I mean, this figure is just amazing. It's in a class of its own, like I said. It even has the hat that I'm wearing today. So anyway, just wanted to show y'all that. But if we're looking at the three affordable and easy to find options here on the far left, we have Basic Series 106 regular version. I have the Chase version as well with the brown hair, which is a really cool figure in its own. But I'm using the regular version because it has blonde hair and easier to compare to these other two figures. In the middle, we have Elite Series 86, and on the right, we obviously have that Basic Series 129 that I've been reviewing today. So, as you can see, they all have very unique looks here, but if you had to choose one and you can't get a hold of that Fan Central or you can't afford it, I would go and get this Elite 86. It's a beautiful figure. It's cool that it comes with the pants. It's not perfect. I wish it came with glasses, came with a jacket. I actually have one up on my shelf that has a SmackDown Women's Championship and custom glasses I used from the Michael P.S. Hayes. But this is all we get with this figure. We do get extra hands, but this is a nicely detailed figure. It really represents her as SmackDown champ. She's very bubbly, very happy, very wild, and yeah, it's definitely a cool figure. So I do think it's the best one, not counting that Fan Central. That Basic Series 106 is a pretty good figure in my opinion, especially for a basic, but this body sculpt, at least in the instance of mine, it is so hard to stand her. So hard. And I think it's because this hair, the way it's molded, it's very heavy in the back, so she just wants to go back. So to stand her, you kind of have to give her this. It looks like she's got a stomach ache or something, or put her on a display stand. But as far as basics go, this and that Chase version are really cool figures. But if you're going to go for a Carmella basic, boom, I would suggest a basic 129 over this older basic. Because we have plenty of kind of the title run Carmella figures as it is, and this is the most recent gimmick that she has. So if you're looking for a new iteration of Carmella, this is definitely it. And once again, not to keep bringing it up, but the chest mold, you can see the difference here. So yeah, if you're looking for a basic Carmella, definitely go with that brand new. But if you're looking for a Carmella in general, choose the Fan Central. If you can't afford that, definitely do Elite 86. I can't stand her. She won't stand up. And here's one last look at WWE Basic Series 129, Carmella. Alright, so just a quick reminder that I do have a different grading scale between my basics and my elites, so just keep that in mind. So with that being said, I give WWE Basic Series 129 Carmella an overall score of a 9 out of 10. This is an excellent, excellent basic figure for what it is, in all honesty. And it's one of those figures that I didn't really appreciate or notice the details until I held it in hand and had it right in front of me. Images online really don't do this figure justice. The brand new face sculpt, the new face scan works really well. That hair sculpt's really cool. The attire is really fitting. I like the additional little sculpting on the legs. I think the glittery red color is something that I didn't notice until I looked at it up close. And also that additional sculpting in the chest really adds character to this figure and uniqueness and works really well here. So there's really not a whole lot to not like about this figure, and that's why I give it such a high score. Now, there are a couple little things that took it down a little bit for me. The number one thing is a smooth over belly button. That's a shirt mold. I don't know why they don't give her the dimple belly button. So many times we see that dimple on shirted torsos and the smooth over on bare midriff. So I don't get it. But that bugs me. That really bothers me. And also the hair color. I didn't take too much off because this is what we see in all the women's basics and even women's elites, where it's just a solid color and it doesn't add much character to the hair. But if they would have fixed this belly button, made it a dimple like an actual belly button, and added some streaks or something to the hair, some roots, something to that nature, to me this would be a darn near perfect basic. And I know that might sound crazy, but I promise you there's so many little details that when you look at this figure up close in person, it's a really good job at a basic. And they did put some effort and love into this figure, and that's why I give it such a high score. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For a first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews, make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LumberJillville today. Also make sure to hit that bell notification so you know when the next review is posted. Now, I hope y'all enjoyed today's review. Carmella is near and dear to my heart. I'm a huge fan of her, so I had a lot of fun reviewing that figure today, and I look forward to all the future figure reviews coming soon. That being said, have a great night, y'all.